Hey guys, DJ from PTA. Want to do this video on Cosm, which was on January 20th. That was the runner for that day. It was also traded to place. I did fairly well on it, not nothing to really boast or brag about, but it was definitely a decent trade. One of the reasons I ended up playing this trade is because Cosm had been a previous runner. As you can see, looking at this stock back in December, the stock ran. We actually played it that day as well. So I wanted to kind of go over this one. Cosm, I believe I might have done a video on that one. I have to go back and check, and I always advise those who watch our videos to kind of go back and check into the archives, because I do post a lot of videos. I do put a lot of stuff out there to really help people kind of go through those things and kind of figure out. But Cosm was one that it looks as though I did not do an actual video on, but I know some staff members did play that one in particular. It was a pretty decent move with about a 20 something range, $20, $21 range. So it shook out to be a good trade. As I tell everyone, make sure you click that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification button so you don't miss any of these videos when I do take them and drop them for you. So this was probably going to be a pretty quick one. I'm going to just go over a few things and everything on this particular trade. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, and so you don't miss any of the videos. I do post them on there. Seem to be getting some traction from there as well. So thank you as always when it comes to setting up and sending me comments, and those who are in the Discord. Appreciate the love, appreciate the feedback as well. So I definitely want to continue to do this to try to help those out there. So Cosm, it was a pretty basic trade. I didn't get that range that I was looking for on it, but I did make a pretty nice move on it. And let's break it down. The 30-minute here. Now, one of the things that was really good about this trade is that it has some decent amount of volume. Not as much as I like. I like to see over 1 million in pre-market, but it was sitting at about 897,000. So at this point in time, I'm really just looking for a really significant pullback. I think we end up getting it. I end up getting a really good pullback off of the hour. So my ideal entry was somewhere around this area here, about 370. So what I end up doing, because as always, I'm gonna put this as entry day, green. When I do take out a trade and I look at it, I just didn't really see any price action per se that made me feel like, okay, I need to be really looking at this. I mean, we had a nice little area here, and then we also had a decent area right about there, because we had a nice rejection there. I'm gonna probably put that at 595. But as you can see, this right here became very close to where that entry was. So let's break that down. We'll go down to this 5-minute so we can kind of look at it. So once I got that pullback that I saw for the hour, I was really pretty much just waiting for the ramp up. So right here is where things got interesting, because after we set this low, so granted, we set the high for the day, we set the low for the day. So I'm just waiting to see how the price action happen. Now again, Confluence, looking at it, the stock's holding be above previous day high. It's holding above previous day close. Yesterday's volume was 1.4, so at this point we're above yesterday's volume. We're ramping up pretty good. Last week's volume was around 8.6. Today's volume at the end of the day was around 72 million. So it was something that people were looking at. It just took a little while before it took off. Again, you know, you had this pre-market break. I end up getting shares filled in about 375. So I'm looking at 375 with about a 350 risk, 355 risk. So it was a good 20-cent risk. Again, I'm typically looking for, 3-to-1 or 4-to-1. 4-to-1 in this particular trade would have been about 80 cents. So as it took off, we got a nice stretch up to 466. So at this time, I started to kind of take some shares off. And then as it starts to pull back, still seeing some higher lows off of the 5, and it ramped. So I end up taking majority of my shares off into this push here, into the 540s. And the reason for that is because we had hit this previous week high, and I knew the next area was in the 595s. And when it pulled back so drastically, and what I mean by that is that, you know, this was a good 50% pullback off of the high. I'm thinking it probably might not catch itself. So I took some profit, and I took most of the profit over here in the 540s, simply because, you know, I'm already up. You get what I'm saying? I got a 374 entry, 375 entry. So I'm up, $1.66 or so. So you're looking at, legitimately, let me see, it was like 375. I'm looking at the price order. So it's like a 165 entry with a 26 risk. That's a 8.25 to 1 risk to reward. So after already getting 4, and I'm able to double that at 8, I started removing shares. So it was just one of those type of trades that you have to know your entry, where you're getting in at, where you're getting out at, more so that helps you understand where to take your profit. I usually take profit again in a critical area, or when I hit my price target. I'm going for 4-to-1, 3-to-1. I'm able to get the 4-to-1, like on this trade, where it was fairly easy. It was just a straight line up and no significant pullback. Then yes, I'm going to take that and move it right along to the next trade. And then I left a filler, but once it got over previous week high, and it slammed the way it did, I really just started taking some shares off. Because at that point, we had this big whiplash here. And this is where I was like, okay, let me go ahead and start taking the rest of these shares off. So it was a decent trade. Nothing really significant. One of the things, again, as I told you about before, the confluence of the trade. Where we were at on the chart, price action, volume. I equate all these different things as pieces to help me better understand where the stock could potentially go. And because of how this was, we didn't get a late day ramp up until about 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. That's what the time frame where it began to look as if this can maybe break out. I wasn't seeing a $3 move. I thought maybe $1.50, but it definitely reached out to 6 and did pretty well. So shout out to Trade King, because I think he ended up selling shares off into like the 620s or something like that on that trade. So it was really a really good trade overall. Fairly easy, nice setup. Just had to be patient for it and wait for that stock to actually build. So again, guys, if you have any questions, concerns, leave it in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button or that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. As I tell old traders and new, stay studying and stay focused.